At the beginning of the movie, we are shown a woman named Iris and her boyfriend, Paul. There, Iris is riding in a car blindfolded because Paul wants to surprise her. After arriving, Iris is very surprised because she is taken to the tallest tower in the city, a place that is usually only reserved for conglomerates. As they entered and took the elevator to the top of the building, Iris' face looked both happy and panicked as the elevator was running abnormally, suggesting there was something to be wary of. After arriving at the top, Paul immediately took Iris to the top of the building and intended to propose to her. But just as they got there, some strange things started to happen. Starting from the woman whose hat fell off, to the little boy who was throwing coins from the top of the building. After being reprimanded by the officers, Paul continued his intention to propose, and of course, Iris happily accepted. In that happy moment, Iris and Paul intended to go downstairs to dance. But before they left, the little boy threw another coin. The coin was sucked into the building's ventilation shaft and blocked a fan. As Iris and Paul entered the ballroom, which had a glass floor, the glass suddenly began to crack slowly. Not because of the coin, but because a hard, sharp material from the lamp fell onto the glass floor. No one noticed the crack. The coin that was tucked into the fan was thrown and hit the cylinder containing the gas liquid until it leaked. Suddenly, one of the floors collapsed. Panic ensued. People ran, and a chef passed the fire to a grandmother who ran towards the gas leak. As a result, the building exploded without any of them surviving. As it turns out, it was all a dream of a woman named Stephanie. But what did the dream mean? It is known that Stephanie has repeatedly experienced dreams that interfere with her sleep patterns and daily life. What made her wonder was why the woman in her dream was named Iris. Iris was her grandmother, whom she had never seen since childhood. Finally, Stephanie, who was living in a boarding house because of college, decided to go home to look for clues from her family. Arriving home, she asked her father about who her grandmother really was. But her father doesn't give her any answers, so Stephanie invites her brother Charlie to go to her uncle's house, her father's brother. Once there, we are introduced to Stephanie's uncle's 3 children, Eric, Julia, and Billy. Stephanie immediately asks about her grandmother, but her uncle seems reluctant to discuss it. Stephanie tells us that she often dreams about her grandmother and a building called Skyway. Upon hearing the name, her uncle seemed surprised. Finally, her uncle gave her the address and warned her that there was no point in going to her grandmother, as she was mentally ill and lived alone in a remote house. Ignoring her uncle's words, Stephanie went straight to her grandmother's house. Her grandmother, Iris, welcomes her happily as they have never met before. Stephanie told her about her dreams. Iris revealed that they were a past reality that she had managed to prevent. At that time, Iris had a bad premonition at the top of the building. She stopped a child who was about to throw a coin and immediately told everyone to evacuate before the glass floor collapsed.
Going to die. The penny.
Iris? What are you doing? Iris?
Everyone needs to get off the dance floor! Get off the dance floor!
I saved a lot of lives that night. Additional renovations.
Thanks to her quick actions, everyone survived. However, her actions disturbed death. Even though everyone survived, death still came one by one. Well, that's also why Iris stayed in the house so that death couldn't come near her. Hearing that, Stephanie immediately thought that her uncle's words calling Iris insane were true. But despite being considered crazy by Fanny, Iris still tried to show the truth that had happened. Iris also showed a thick book containing notes from the results of analyzing how a small thing would be used as an opportunity by death to finish off its targets. But the longer they talked, the more Stefan seemed convinced that Iris was crazy. Finally, Stefan decided to leave Iris' house. Before leaving, Iris begged Stefan to bring the book to study.
Please take the book! Stephanie!
Actually, Iris knew that if she left the house something would happen to her. But for the safety of her family, Iris was desperate to leave the house and gave the book to Stefan.
Stop! This book is a lifeline. You still don't believe me. Step back. What?
Finally, with what was just seen, Stephanie now believes what Iris said was the truth. In short order, Iris's funeral was held. And after the event, her uncle organized a small barbecue in the yard. Perhaps to break the ice and remember Iris in a warmer way. Meanwhile, on the other hand, Stefan was still deep in thought. He reads and tries to understand the contents of each page of the book Iris gave him. Although he was still half believing, there was still a sense of curiosity that kept pulling him deeper into the mystery. Fanny began to wonder in her heart if it was true that death was targeting Iris's family. Why was everything happening now? But the more she delved into the book, everything began to make sense. It was written that death doesn't come all at once. It comes one by one in an order that is still unknown. There Aries wrote, if Iris has died, then death will come to the next target. Because that makes sense to Fanny, and now Iris is gone. Fanny began to worry that if it was true that the writing was not nonsense, then someone from her family would be the next victim. Fanny immediately rushed to her uncle's house, who was having a barbecue. Meanwhile, at his uncle's house, the event was just beginning. Billy was seen putting a bucket of ice cubes into the table box. Eric put the water bottle on the bricks. Then Billy accidentally dropped a glass and didn't realize when cleaning the shards that there was a shard mixed with ice cubes. And finally soon the glasses were filled with ice cubes, where one of the glasses contained a shard.
Are you alright?
Oh my god, there's a bug in there.
The barbecue was fun. But behind that, a tense situation began to occur without realizing it. Billy was seen playing trampoline jumping without realizing there was a pitchfork under him. Then a glass filled with shards which turned out to be held by his father Stefan, and luckily when he was about to drink, he was called by Billy. This is where the chaos began. The bottle that Eric had placed earlier fell because it was nudged by the basin. Unfortunately, the bottle fell right into a device that accidentally turned on. The device emitted a gust of wind through a long hose, and the hose began to move slowly without anyone noticing.
It's okay.
The funeral for Stefan's uncle was held. After the funeral, Fanny returned to studying the patterns from the book Iris had given her. There she began to discover that death would come in order of age from the old to the young. Fanny immediately explained the pattern she found to all her family. But none of them believed her, and Fanny was deemed as crazy as Iris. According to the pattern learned, Fanny also explained that Eric was the next target. But Eric and all his family don't believe it. Then the gathering broke up because they thought Fanny was crazy.
It took so long to make its way through the survivors. Don't you see this? Meaning Eric, you're next.
Go fuck yourself.
In short, we are now taken to a place where Eric works. While Eric is sitting and making a tattoo with his father's inscription for a memento, He stands up and pushes the chair back, causing one of the displays to fall and create a ball. Shortly afterwards, one of the fan's chains suddenly falls and fits right into Eric's nose piercing. Finally, an absurdly tense situation ensued, starting from the falling display, and the chain stuck in the nose to one of the fuels. In short, the next day Fanny, who heard the news of the fire, immediately went to Eric. But strangely, Eric still survived. Is the theory wrong, or will there be another incident after that? It was seen that Fanny was worried and forbade Eric from acting carelessly. When someone played ball in the yard, Fanny told Eric to stay away for fear that the pattern of death could start from the ball. When the garbage truck passes by, Fanny again warns not to come closer. Eric was uncomfortable and thought Fanny was getting crazy. Not long after, Julia, who had just left the house to jog, was seen running along with the garbage truck. Then suddenly,
Coming for our family.
Julia got into the trash can and was put into the trash box, where the box was a Penyet trash box. Eric, Julia, and Charlie immediately chased the truck to save her. Unfortunately, the driver was wearing a headset, so he didn't hear them. In the end, Julia had to become a victim. After losing Julia, the family gathered again and questioned if it was really their family who was being hunted. Why Eric was still alive. That's where Eric's mother confessed that Eric was actually the son of an affair, so it might be his turn to go directly to Julia. Hearing all that, the family believed the theory written in Iris's book, and it seemed that Billy was scared because now it meant it was his turn. All of them immediately tried to figure out how to stop this catastrophe. They opened the book again and studied together. In a book, Iris wrote that there was actually one name with the initials Jebby who managed to survive the deadly hunt. Maybe there will be clues if Fanny meets Jeb and asks how he survived all the events. Not taking long, Fanny and her family immediately sought information from this person named JB and went straight to him.
William John Bloodworth.
It appears that JB is a doctor. There he said that during the incident at the Skywave building, Jebby was there. He was one of the little children that Iris managed to help. Thanks to that incident, Jebby grew up and became friends with Iris. In fact, he also participated in reporting several incidents, and it turned out that he also helped make Iris a house as a fortress of safety. There Jebby explained that there were only two ways to survive. The first way, they have to engineer death, or in other words, have to go into suspended animation. But how can suspended animation be planned? Or the second way, they must take the lives of others so that death stops the curse. Since it was Billy's turn after this, Jebby suggested putting Billy into suspended animation by drinking poison and preparing an antidote. Finally, Eric immediately carried out the plan by entering a room with an MRI medical device where the device had a magnetic field. There Eric gave Billy a peanut because Billy was allergic to peanuts and prepared to give him the antidote. But suddenly the MRI machine turned on just because Eric closed the door too hard. Little did they know that the machine kept increasing so that its magnetism could attract all nearby metals. And because Eric's body is filled with piercings, the metals begin to be attracted and even crush Eric and Billy. In short, because the eldest family was finished, it was now Fanny's family's turn. But not with Fanny's father. Because Fanny's father is outside the family. Even though he is a husband, he is not a pure descendant. There Fanny's mother took the initiative to keep her children safe. She wanted to hide in Iris's house first so that death couldn't get there. That way, Fanny and her sister can still live naturally. But when they were going to the house, Fanny didn't realize that the coin in Iris's book had fallen and was picked up by an old lady. In short order, they reached Iris's house. But Stephanie had a premonition that death had already begun its work on the next target. Stefan broke through the entrance gate and stopped next to a pool of water. After that, Fanny let her mother into the house. But because it was triggered by a short circuit, the house suddenly exploded. Even her mother was hit by an electric pole. Finally, the mother died, and because of the explosion, Fanny sank into the puddle because the seat belt could not be removed. It appears that Charlie is trying to save Fanny, who looks lifeless. But luckily, thanks to Charlie's efforts, Fanny was able to survive again. They also think that the curse no longer exists because Fanny thinks that she was in suspended animation and managed to return to the world and will be able to live a normal life because the curse is gone.
What happened?
You died. She saved us. Let's go home.
Save the story. We are taken to an event where Charlie will propose to his girlfriend somewhere. There Fanny meets the father of Charlie's girlfriend, who is a doctor. It seems that he knows what happened to Charlie and Stefan yesterday. There he explained that Fanny's incident could not be said to be suspended animation, because medically all of that is still fairly normal when someone experiences excessive water entry into their body. And at the same time, the grandmother who was taking the coin at that time dropped the coin. Unexpectedly, the coin rolled until it blocked a railroad track. Hearing the doctor's statement that she had never been in suspended animation, Fanny immediately panicked. At the same time, the train close to Fanny's current position derailed, and this happened immediately.